Coming up, Tzu Chi visits the Central Hospital in Mozambique to assess the damages post-Cyclone Idai. Tzu Chi volunteers from Taiwan says farewell to an uncle they deeply care for as he leaves for China. Welcome to our headlines. I'm Mary Lee Shioda. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi is going to hold aid distributions in different places in Mozambique on August 25th. Local volunteers have learned how to prepare, organize, and conduct the distributions. Some volunteers from Maputo have joined hands with the locals to complete their task and pass on their experience.
Mastering the principles of Tzu Chi's disaster relief, local volunteers in Namatanda carefully check the distribution roster.
I am in charge of sorting out the distribution rosters based on the number of people in each family. I'm also responsible for categorizing the supplies. I enjoy doing this work. It requires an immense amount of concentration. Otherwise, there may be errors on the roster.
Volunteers inventory the stock in Tika's Tzu Chi warehouse. Tzu Chi is going to conduct aid distributions in Kura and Metuhira on August 25th. The volunteers have wiped clean each pot, prepared school supplies and blankets.
Our current classification is that if the family has 1 or 2 people, they will receive a blanket. If they have 3 to 5 people, they will receive 2 blankets. If they have more than 6 people, then they will receive 3 blankets. Each family can only have up to 3 blankets.
Now
it's getting colder. Most of the residents lost supplies, such as blankets, after Cyclone Idai's devastation. We think the residents need blankets now so that they can stay warm.
This aid distribution is organized by both Maputo volunteers and Namatanda volunteers. Jordan Baptisto, who is one of the affected residents, learns how to help residents receive supplies.
I understand the significance of helping people, so I will not only receive help. Also, I don't mind those who criticize me for my voluntary work.
Tzu Chi's spirit and the significance of giving have been passed by word of mouth. It is hoped that the seeds of goodness will be planted in more people's hearts.
Continuing in Mozambique, Cyclone Idai decimated the Central Hospital, which accepts patients with serious illnesses. Its 7 operating rooms are still under repair 5 months after the storm, so the hospital has to use temporary quarters for surgery.
The Central Hospital is in charge of treating emergency cases, but Cyclone Idai destroyed its 7 operating rooms. 5 months after the cyclone, the hospital has been using tents as temporary operating rooms.
Whenever it rains, it gets flooded. So
the Central Hospital safeguards the health of people in 4 surrounding provinces, but the doctor-local resident ratio is 1 to 8,000. The number of people who can see the doctors is very few. There are between 300 and 400 patients in the hospital every day, and they are looked after by 200 doctors and 500 nurses.
although all the buildings are being impacted, but the operation room was one of the most important rooms which has been impacted. Also, we have a shortage of medical team as well as nurse team. Since, as you may know, the country has few schools for training people.
Simon? Nice to see you.
Monica is a surgeon in the Central Hospital. She also teaches at the Department of Health Science at the Catholic University. She suffers from acanthamoebia keratitis, but she hasn't found the cure.
I have to see very well. I can see like with something in the middle, blocking my sight. Yeah.
Tiba found medicine for Monica.
Yeah, I have to thank you a lot. Yeah, I thank you so much. Yeah, you saved my eye in my life because as a surgeon, I couldn't work anymore without a good, sight.
Monica hopes to come to Taiwan for a TIMA event and also receive treatment for her eyes. When doctors are healthy, they can protect people's health too.
Moving to Metachira of Mozambique, where Tzu Chi's assessment team surveys the conditions of the families who live in these tent areas and see how Tzu Chi can assist them.
3-year-old Paul always lies crestily in her mother's arms. His head is unusually large.
He had a fever when he was 9 months old, but I still don't know why. The doctor gave him medicines, but his head seems to grow bigger and bigger.
They are too poor to change their conditions. Many children in the tent area continue to be sick because they are poor, and Paul is just one example. 45-year-old Sika has 6 children. They live in a cramped tent and they are short of food too.
They grow corns because they don't have work. Their dogs can catch rats for them as food, but they are short of food.
This 63-year-old Felicia Lina and her husband are raising 6 grandchildren.
When Cyclone Idai came, I grabbed my grandsons and climbed to a tree. My son was also on the same tree, but his branch broke and it fell into the water and was washed away. Me and the grandsons hugged each other tightly. My 6 grandchildren survived, but my son has died.
The construction materials from Tzu Chi help them build a more stable house. The portable folding bed is a treasure.
I'm extremely pleased because we don't have to squeeze in the hut anymore.
Cyclone Idai has worsened poor people's lives. Without water nor food, they do not know if they have any future.
Love not only makes borders obsolete, but religious differences as well. Tzu Chi's construction assessment team's latest visit is to the city of Beira in Mozambique, where they survey the damages Cyclone Idai had on the local church and the neighboring school. Mozambique's post-cyclones reconstruction cabinet and Tzu Chi's construction assessment team are having a meeting to discuss rebuilding efforts and have come to an agreement in the way they want the citizens' participation.
Youth people are able to do jobs, so we have to encourage them. Don't use only the constructor, because in the end of the day, these people will feel that they have involved in the project, that they put their hands on that house. Even for finishing process, to paint the house, to plaster. You know, this is our recommendation as a cabinet of construction. We need to encourage the community. We need to build a house as a self-construction with the technical support and the community engagement.
They hold the same value as Master Zheng Yan. They hope they can build their own house, and he is happy that during this mid to long-term relief assistance, we're not absent and have joined them in this rebuilding effort.
We are standing at the Beira Cultural Exchange Center, where there is a multi-purpose gymnasium, a basketball club, and over here is a near-century-old church, which was severely damaged during Cyclone Idai. The Our Lady of the Rosary Cathedral is the biggest church in Beira. Built in 1925, it has been the pillar of support for Catholics in the area for a near 100 years. After the cyclone's devastation, the father himself wrote a letter to Tzu Chi asking for help.
The most pressing matter at hand is that the church will leak whenever it rains, so we held a farewell ceremony today to begin repairs.
The school next to the church is also damaged, with classrooms nearly all destroyed. Tzu Chi hopes to provide assistance after a thorough survey is had. Fulfilling his lifelong wish of going home, centenarian Shen Yushan is finally going back to Fujian, China, after being in Taiwan since 1946. Shen has been a care recipient of Tzu Chi for 15 years. Though the volunteers were sad to see him go, they had nothing but the best wishes for the senior. He says he was a good-looking guy when he was younger, but not anymore. When I saw his tears fill his eyes, we felt for him. Since there are many of us here, we thought it would be good to celebrate his birthday ahead of time. Maybe it will cheer him up and help him recover as soon as possible.
I heard the owner said that they were going to clear everything away. He said, if you don't want it, I'll just throw it all away. It's nearly the end of April. It's almost April 30th.
He's a man of his word, so he was worried about returning his place back to the owner by April 30th on time. He's most worried about his stuff. He wants us to sort through what can be reused instead of throwing everything into the garbage, which is what the owner will do if they come clear this out for him. We would visit him here all the time. We would sit by his bedside and he would play his CD. Then he would play Nanguan for us. He said he's going to return to Fujian's Zhaoan County. We all said we visit. In Taiwan, he can receive better medical care, but going home is his wish. Actually, in our hearts, we are happy but sad at the same time that we can fulfill Uncle's wish. In China, Tzu Chi volunteers have begun to conduct home visitations to prepare for the upcoming Winter Aid events. Hundreds of volunteers from different places headed to Ezhou to care for impoverished families and understand their needs.
送爱来大陆，一走就是28年啊！慈济爱的脚步，如今已经踏遍了我们大陆的山山水水。
The volunteers listened to the mother and her daughter who live in poverty. Volunteers visit each household to care for their living conditions. Xiong Xiangyun has been paralyzed since childhood, and she has been sitting in a wheelchair for decades.
Before I came into contact with Tzu Chi, I felt everything that happened to me was a big challenge. I think everyone's life is a mirror. It's helpful for us to learn and grow.
From morning till night, volunteers have witnessed the suffering of local residents. With the care of volunteers, the residents can now feel love and warmth.
South African Tzu Chi volunteers from Durban carried out their 6th visit to Malawi. The 2,400 kilometers trip took the volunteers 4 days' time. A tribal chief accompanied the volunteers to visit needy families and help introduce Tzu Chi to everyone.
At a monthly distribution meeting in Malawi, community volunteers clearly note down where every bag of salt, every bar of soap, and every matchbox comes from. They practice what they have learned from Tzu Chi volunteers mindfully. The volunteers notice this 80-year-old man lives in this simple, crude hut. Originally, their goal was to give him daily supplies, but the scene broke their hearts, so they decided to clean up his home, even though they did not have any tool. The volunteers' actions inspire the neighbors to help the elderly. They wear the volunteers' vest and help clean out their seniors' home. The lone man shows no more worry. This is the 6th visit by Durban Tzu Chi volunteers from South Africa. They traveled 2,400 kilometers to get here. The volunteers' sincerity touches the local chiefs to accept Tzu Chi.
No, some will say that we don't have much material to do or to make other people see what we are doing, but the little that we have can make a change to other people.
Chief Godfrey of Chinkombe leads the volunteers to Chilaweni and invited villagers for a tea gathering under a big tree.
Many tribes here are very poor, so we're glad that Tzu Chi can come here.
This village welcomes us very much, so we'll work together.
Tzu Chi volunteers hand out corn powder and second-hand clothes to the most impoverished families in the village. The sincerity of volunteers impresses many people, who sing and dance to express their support to Tzu Chi. 14 people joined Tzu Chi on this day, and they are ready to spread love throughout Africa.
For the average family, having a child with multiple disabilities is quite a heavy burden, both financially and physically, especially when the parents get older. In our next report, we see how families suffering from this plight prepare for this situation and how they are seeking help from the government and society.
大家好，我叫做小王子，我有一个最可爱的妹妹。某一天晚上，我头好烫，我好担心，不知道会发生什么事。我看妈妈伤心地走。当我看到护士把妹妹抱出来时，我以为事情已经结束了。
The picture book is quite lovely and warm and is done by the Shu family's eldest daughter. They were like an average family in that they played together, slept together, and occasionally quarreled. The picture book also reveals the need to protect the sister's weak heart. Nowadays, these sisters have grown up and the eldest daughter is even a mother. However, one has multiple physical challenges, which has left her mental development at the age of 5 years old.
I myself face great pressure, and I don't want this pressure to be transferred to my eldest daughter. We were afraid that she couldn't find a boyfriend because of our family relationship. This may even reduce her chance of getting married.
At that time, her parents did not blame others. They simply hoped that their daughter could improve each day. They looked for any treatment that could possibly help their daughter improve her condition.
Since she was born, we had to take care of her. So many friends will help introduce spirits and gods to look after her. We prayed for many days and actually just threw a lot of money away.
Other couples who have such children may be prone to a lot of quarreling, but we never did this. We never blamed our situation on having such a child.
Their daughter cannot speak, and these parents have been caring for her for 20 years, until 5 years ago the doctor confirmed that she still had autism. It turned out that some movements were attributed to this. Her parents run a hostel in Hualien, and her condition was affecting their ability to do housekeeping and even upsetting the tenants.
She will call for me at first and then started looking for my wife. She will then pull her hair and force me to come out.
Ms. Xu says their daughter is her husband's former lover in the past and now clings tighter to him in this lifetime. She even deliberately pees to draw attention from the father, making him clean up after her. What we see here is only one part of the troubles that this family has endured for decades. One of his biggest grievances was one day when they were crossing the road and she pulled on the skirt of a woman passing by, leading to some accusations.
I first apologized to her, but she returned to me and said, "How could I bring such a child outside?" I didn't know what to say, so I just quickly rushed home with her.
This experience really affected him. Originally, the family lived in eastern Taipei, but the number of unfriendly faces he encountered after his daughter's out-of-control behavior led them to move to Hualien.
Because her voice is really loud and sometimes she'll lose control of herself, led up to believe that growing up here may not be a good choice over the long term.
Now this family has lived in Hualien for the past 10 years and has become accepted by this community. The only regret they have is that their daughter needs long-term medication to control her behavior.
The doctor said that if you don't give your child this medicine, you will have to take it yourself. This is because you will also have depression or bipolar disorder after caring for her for a long time.
The insufficient number of caregivers is a challenge for more than 13,000 autistic people in Taiwan. This is a common concern of family members, as his particular daughter is now 31 years old and Mr. Xu is in his 60s. Because of her multiple disorders, she may age quickly and her parents may no longer be able to care for her, leaving her without someone to care for her. This family hopes that the Long-Term Care Act 2.0 can address these challenges, as they are currently without any supporting caregivers. This family really hopes that their life will soon change from the endless marathon they seem to be undertaking at the moment.
The Victoria fire in March in Australia brought Tzu Chi volunteers to help disaster victims with cleaning up and material aid. In August, volunteers invited the same victims to the Tzu Chi office for a tea gathering to catch up with one another. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.